Hello, I'm Jessica Marriott and welcome back to the next episode of Back in a Mill. I'm joined today by Chloë Crowhurst, who was on Love Island, and she has now got a very successful career within aesthetics. And we're going to be chatting today about that and a little bit about life since and where her journey has taken her. Hi Chloë, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, we're so happy and excited to have you here. Right, so my first question, we really want to know kind of how you got into the Love Island villa and the story behind that. I'm sure everyone else wants to know that as well.
Well, that is a story because basically I was dating somebody who was on a television show.
Right.
They'd previously done Love Island before, and they cheated on me. And the girl had messaged me and they was planning on like meeting up and everything. She'd messaged me and told me about it. And then the next minute, she'd put me in touch with these ITV producers who was desperate for me to go on the show.
Oh.
So yeah, I was really up and down. Like I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it. And it was just a really last minute. Yes.
So it wasn't like planned for a long time. It was very much like the cheating, which by the way, oh my gosh.
Yeah, what a story, right? So it was like I'd had backwards and forwards conversations. Like I didn't have to go through all the audition process or anything like that.
Oh.
I did obviously meet up with the execs and stuff and kind of speak with them, and they just really wanted me to go on because obviously it would cause a massive stir, which it definitely did.
So your misery was their storyline.
Yeah. But that is television, right?
Yeah, it's TV gold, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Oh, bless you. So when you was in the actual villa, then when you actually came to the villa, how was you feeling? Did you go in having a lot of treatments aesthetic yourself, or?
No. So when I went to the villa, the only aesthetic treatment I had was my lips. A very bad set of lips, I must say.
Oh no.
I think like obviously I was only 22 at the time, so I was so young. So...
And this is like the old filler days, right? Before
Yeah.
we did the Russian lips and we got everything nice and flat. Were they?
Oh, they was awful.
You could have rested a cup of tea.
They was awful. But I feel like everyone had lips like that, and that was like how people used to do lips.
Yeah, it's just how it was.
Yeah, and my lips naturally have a tendency to migrate anyway, so these lips were... don't even know what I had in there or how many meals I had, but they was awful. And I do look back and I think, oh my gosh, what on earth was I thinking? Why did no one say to me, Chloe, what have you done? But you live and learn, right?
You do, exactly. I bet you still look beautiful, but yeah, I know what you mean about the old style. We call them the old style lips before the flat lips came in.
Yeah,
just absolutely horrendous. I think we all rocked to set at some point. So
yeah, they was dark lips.
Oh, did you have them done just before you went in? Was you conscious that you wanted them to look quite full before you went in, or?
No, I don't think I did, to be fair. So I think I just, because it was so last minute, like they literally, when I say last minute, it was like they rang me up and I said, I'm not coming. And then the next day I rang them and said, all right, if you book me a flight today, I will be there.
Oh, wow.
The producers were at my house packing my suitcase for me. I went to the villa with no knickers and no pyjamas. But, that's how last minute it was. So I had no time to prepare anything. So I just went, I didn't even think about it because as well, it wasn't like a massive thing when I went on. Like, obviously I was on series 3. So Love Island wasn't massive then. So I didn't really expect for it to blow up as much as it did.
Yeah.
And I think season 3 is when it really started going. So no, I had nothing done before. I'd only ever had my lips done, just a set of lips that I did get abused for, but
Oh, did you get a lot of trolls from that, would you say?
Yes.
From the lips?
Yes.
Was that
lot.
Online or?
Yes, a lot of online trolls.
Oh no.
And it was all to do with my lips. There was a couple, where there was actually quite a lot saying that I was B word.
Okay.
Because I'd left my boyfriend to go to Love Island, saying I was just like a really horrible person, and a lot of it was mainly to do with my lips, and I looked like a darkened.
That's so sad. So was you receiving that kind of abuse online before you entered, or did it all just come after?
No, to be honest, like when I was on Instagram before, I probably didn't even have 1,000 followers. I might have had just over 1,000. So I wasn't really in the position for people to abuse me online.
Right.
Do you know what I
okay.
mean?
So you wasn't so much in that spotlight of being a target for people, and then when you came out, was it a case that you just literally logged on and read everything and was mortified?
Yeah, so like when you're, I think it's different now, but when I was in the villa, you basically give your Instagram account to your friend or your family member or your agent. Well, I didn't have an agent because I was not on television before.
Right.
So I gave it to my friend and she done an amazing job looking after my Instagram.
Okay.
She blocked so many people, deleted like all the horrible things. So when I went on, it wasn't like a really negative place to look.
Okay.
And I will forever be grateful that she done that.
So she really protected you from kind of seeing that because she knew you'd come out. Obviously, you'd be upset because you don't see it at the time. It's so weird, but when you have bad work, you don't always see it, and then you look back and you think, oh,
you become filler blind, don't you? And that is a thing, isn't it? You do become filler blind. But so obviously I was aware of it. You know, there's articles in the newspaper about it and stuff like that, and it just is what it is. Like I do look back now and I think, wow, yeah, they do look bad, but everybody looked like that.
Everyone did. But I think when you're targeted as an individual, you feel like you're the only person in the world that's got these bad lips because you feel so attacked.
Yeah, you do. And I feel like back then dissolving wasn't like a thing.
No,
like,
it wasn't.
It wasn't like you actually could just look tomorrow and it would be like, oh, dissolving. There was nothing really about it, and it was kind of like a hush-hush thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's so openly spoke about, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually dissolving is so encouraged now.
Yeah,
whereas back then it's like, get filler, get more, inject on more fillers.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, back then, especially on season 3, there was a lot of bad work coming through.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, you'd go to someone with bad filler and they would add more and more, and the problem would just get worse and worse when really it should have just been removed.
And they wouldn't tell you either.
No,
they would just kind of want to take the money. And
I feel like, I don't know, maybe the education has changed a little bit. You know, maybe these people doing it kind of didn't really think like that back then. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely changed now, hasn't it?
I think so, and I think that's down to big platforms, and I think it's down to a lot of, back in the day it was a lot of just medics that were injecting lips, and I think when medics inject lips, they're very good and they're very skilled at what they do, but they do inject on the whole very medically.
Yeah.
They're not so much artistic as perhaps non-medics that have come from a beauty background.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was where a lot of maybe that work was coming from in the beginning, because doctors were injecting lips as almost a medical thing. So they weren't looking at shape, they weren't looking at sizes and how we could get them flat. They were literally trying to fill lips and get filler in safely.
Yeah, kind of like a one size fits all.
Exactly.
For lips.
Exactly.
Whereas now you're treating every patient client to their own.
Exactly. And obviously you're in aesthetics now yourself.
Yeah.
So you kind of know that. And would you
absolutely.
ever really inject anyone with the same style?
No, you can't, because everybody's natural lip is different, and their problems are different.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's impossible to do that.
Yeah. And you would just have the worst reputation ever if you were just like, we're just going to put this in. No, you wouldn't have no business.
No, and don't get me wrong, when you first start out in aesthetics, it is really hard. Like I think people think you just do your courses and you're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're amazing at lips and stuff like that. And you're not.
No.
Like you do have to continue learning, continue going on these training courses and stuff like that. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
And you're a nervous wreck when you first start. Like you really are. And going to new people is always quite daunting. But
and I think the anxiety around injectables, it isn't always spoken about enough.
No.
People just say, oh look, she's got a new page, everything looks great, and everything looks very glam and amazing from that side of things. But actually when you're doing it and you are faced with new challenges and you are doing sets of lips and you're like, okay, you do always have that nerves about you, because you think, oh God, like there's a little bit of a bruise there.
Yeah.
And it's all a learning curve, especially when you know.
And like, I don't think as well, like when you have your own aesthetics business, when you're first starting, you know, it gets to a point where you don't even want to text your clients the next day because you're scared in case something's gone wrong. I feel like you always have that negative mindset. So it's just confidence, isn't it? It all comes with confidence.
Definitely.
And a lot of practice. And, you know, you need to really up your training, don't you? You need to keep on keeping up with the trends, going to all these courses.
100%.
It's not a quick overnight.
No, it's
thing.
not. And I think people do think that, but I think this is a great thing about industry now. Industry is so changed. It's so educational driven, and there's some real nice industry leaders that are pushing forward, helping practitioners on stories, doing free webinars. And I think that's really nice that everyone's is now recognising that it's a difficult industry, and people are chipping in together to help each other more.
Yeah, because there is a lot of people out there, isn't there, that are really willing to help. Like, I'm in a lot of group chats and Facebook groups and stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone's in there giving free advice. You know,
that's
it's
great.
nice, isn't it? It's nice to feel like, as well, part of a community.
Yeah.
And, you know, no matter how experienced you are, you're going to have them times where you do feel a bit anxious. And it's always nice to have somebody you know that you can kind of lean on. And
of course,
kind of
definitely.
give you advice.
100%. And I think people as well, there's a little bit of a misconception that it's just non-medics that get stressed. But actually, I work with so many doctors because I have doctors that teach within my academy, and they will text me and say, Jess, like, what do you think to this? Like, we're all the same.
Yeah.
And I think people assume that just because you're a medic, that you don't have them, oh, okay, what do I think to this? Like, everyone's always going to get a second opinion.
Yeah. And the thing is, medics and non-medics go through the same training. Yeah. They learn exactly the same stuff.
They do.
And that's how it is. Yeah, fair enough, they go to medical school for however many years, but going to medic school doesn't teach you aesthetics.
No, it doesn't. It's completely different. Yeah. And as much as I respect them for going to medical school and getting those degrees, as you've said, they have no idea about injectables, how to do those, and it's a complete different course.
Yes, it really is.
And we have a lot of like medics and non-medics that are on the same training group.
Yeah.
Because they need to learn the same things.
Yeah, and there is a few medics out there that, you know, slander people that are non-medics, but I feel like as a whole community, it's a really quite a nice community to be part of, isn't it? The aesthetics industry.
Yeah.
Everyone is really supportive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where networking comes in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of networking events that are being run at the moment, particularly in the industry, and I think it's more inclusive than it's ever been before.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there is a lot more regulations coming out and stuff, isn't there, which that
will be great for the industry, and that will just ensure that everyone is operating at the same level. We're all doing the same things, and I think that will stop a lot of the non-medic bashing that's going on at the moment.
Because the thing is, I do understand that, you know, medic and non-medic, I do get that, and I do completely get that, but for me, what it is some people, medics or non-medics, aren't practicing safely or properly.
Yeah.
You know, using products that they're getting from these Instagram sellers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're the people that, you know,
they're the people that they want
reputation.
Exactly. And I think that a small group of people can ruin it for everyone else, because you would never really get a medic that's going online and trying to buy fillers from places that aren't pharmaceutical led, but you will unfortunately get groups of non-medic that are targeted on Instagram. They see the cheap prices and they're like, okay, I'm going to do that. And this is what needs to stop soon.
It is, isn't it? They get so tempted by the cheap prices, and I think as well, a lot of people starting out, they put their prices low to attract clients, but to me, that's just attracts the wrong client.
So I always say this, Chloe. So I always say, if you price your product cheap, you will attract not really the right kind of clients that you want to do, like the quality clients that are going to want to come back. These are kind of the clients that you'll attract that go from one place to another. And then they end up with quite bad work because they end up going to lots of different places. And as you know, especially with lip filler, you kind of need to stick to the same person with the same technique. Otherwise, you end up with something that's not really...
Especially if, like, so you've got a cheap deal on and the client goes from cheap deal to cheap deal, it's just adding on top, isn't it, and causing problems.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it's cheap, for me, it's always a bit of a red flag. And what advice I give is, if you see something and it's cheap, check it out. Check out what they're using. Make sure where they've got the product from. Make sure that they're using a pharmacy, and just really do your research.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, you know, when you've got your clients in and stuff and they ask you what products you're using, it's that's to me is good, because they're educating themselves now on what proper practice should be.
But they're the great clients to have, because they're the ones that are informed. They kind of know what they want to have, and because they're paying for that service and they are paying a little bit more, they get extra for that, because we take them on that journey from, okay, you're here, we're going to do your treatment stay, we're doing the follow-up, and we're staying with them until the end. Whereas I think a lot of these cheap deals, it's very much like, come and have your lips done, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So just bringing it back to Love Island, would you have gone into Love Island without having any treatments done?
Yeah, I would have done because, as I said, it was, 7-8 years ago now that I went in there. Facial fillers and stuff like that wasn't really like a big thing. And I was only 22, so I didn't really feel like I needed anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I didn't even think about it, to be fair. It wasn't even something that I considered.
Okay.
I didn't, as I said, it didn't, to me, go into my head that Love Island would be this massive ordeal. I don't even know what I thought it was. I thought I'd just go in for a free holiday and a couple of drinks with my friends. You know what I mean?
And now it's such a huge show and a huge presence.
Yeah.
Was a lot of the girls, when you arrived there, did they have a lot of work done as well? Or would you say it was just still really in those early days?
No, there was definitely a few. But there was also, most of them didn't really have much doing, from what I can remember.
Whereas now you look at the season now and it's pretty much everyone's got kind of a little bit of everything, whether it be lips, a bit of cheeks.
But they look a lot more natural nowadays.
Yeah, they look a lot better. And I think you can really tell when someone goes in and they've had some nice work done, because they look very pretty, they look very beautiful.
Yeah.
And then natural features are kind of enhanced rather than trying to change the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like as well, because when I went to Love Island, I had my lips done, that bad job. Everyone assumes because you've had one thing done, you've got the whole shebang done.
Yeah.
Whereas,
so if you've got a natural feature that's very pretty,
yeah,
they'll go, oh, like she must have had that done as well.
She's had this done, she's had that done, and it's like, well, no, I haven't. But now, when they go in and they're naturally looking fabulous, no one says, oh my God, she's had so much work done to look like that. Maybe she has, but they don't say that because she looks nice, natural,
so
glowing.
So it's kind of gone full spin, really.
And I do think, looking back now, I'm probably a little older with them bad lips than I do now.
I think they do age you, because I also had a very bad set of lips. They was bad. And luckily I wasn't on like Love Island with them, but they weren't good. And I think that I definitely looked a lot older as well.
Yeah, and I think facial filler, lip filler, all kinds of filler can make you look a lot older if it is done incorrectly, can't it?
Yeah, and I think with the Love Island in particular, did you see the picture that went viral of Molly May?
Oh my gosh,
yeah. So the Molly May viral picture was a shocker, because she'd had so much jaw filler.
Yeah.
And she'd had jaw filler, and there was a picture that came out of her looking very, very bulky.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that picture and pop it on the screen. And she's got it all out. She's dissolved everything, and she looks stunning.
Because when she went into Love Island, I thought she looked amazing.
Yeah.
And she definitely didn't have all that filler then. So
no, she didn't.
It was an after.
Yeah, I think it's when she came out. And I think I wondered to myself, maybe she came out and had a little bit similar to what you explained, but maybe it wasn't hidden from her as well. And maybe she had a lot of exposure to some of the comments, and maybe that's what led her to think, you know what, I need to get more.
Yeah.
And she was very much in the spotlight on her series.
Yeah, it was
kind of all about Molly, wasn't it? So I think that she just really felt that pressure.
Yeah, she's done amazingly from Love Island.
Yeah.
And she knew exactly, how to handle everything.
And what she wanted to do. And
the thing is as well, when you come out of Love Island, I'm not sure how it is now, but I imagine it's the same. You get so many people DM you.
Right.
Do you want free cheek filler? Do you want free this? Do you want free that? And it's like so tempting to say yes.
Yeah.
Me personally, I was never kind of like fell into that. But I think for someone like Molly May, maybe she did.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she did end up looking the way that she did.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, blind to the filler, I don't think she could really see what she'd done.
No.
And then obviously girls were kind of coming more vocal about it, like, oh my God, like, what's Molly done? What's she done? And I think a lot of girls fall into this trap.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, where we come in as practitioners to actually educate these girls. And if they are coming in overfilled, just to kind of tell them in a nice way, without being horrible. Oh, you do seem to have quite a lot of filler in your face. Like, would you like to start again? And we can actually educate those kind of clients on looking natural. And it doesn't always have to be kind of this over the top image.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot more people are coming into clinic now wanting more natural results. There is still a few people.
I've noticed that there's been a massive change of trend, right?
Yeah, there's still a few people that do want these massive lips and stuff like that. Me personally, that's not I don't tend to do clients that want that, just because
Yeah.
I suffered,
Immensely.
with massive lips, and I just wouldn't want to do that to somebody. If I don't agree with it, then why am I doing it? So I do try and stick to natural results, and obviously some people like big lips, some people have naturally got bigger lips to work with. That's fine.
But that's fine, because that naturally tends to suit them more. Whereas if you've got someone that comes in with very small lips and then you try and give them these big outrageous lips, it doesn't fit in with the rest of their features.
It doesn't. And also I think if you've got someone who comes in and wants these really big overfilled lips, there's sometimes some hidden issues. And sometimes you can just make that worse. So I think it's really, about having a really in-depth consultation and building relationships with your clients, not just treating them as a client.
Definitely. And really getting to know them and knowing a little bit about their story. Yeah. Everyone's got a story. What brought you to actually make this decision in the first place? And actually making sure that they've made a sensible, informed decision and they're not acting on impulse.
Yeah, and as well, like for me, as I said before I went to Love, and I had this ex-boyfriend, he was obsessed with girls that looked like, filler.
Kind of the filler.
Very
kind of
plastic looking.
Yeah.
So, he was always like, oh, you should get more lip filler, So I was naive, right?
See, that's interesting because I think men play a big part in the way women feel about themselves.
Yeah. And being 22, well, I was obviously with him before being 22, so 21, 19, I was naive at that time. Like if someone said that to me now, I'd be like, absolutely no way, leave it alone. Like I'm happy with how I look.
Yeah.
But then, it was always like, oh, you get a little bit more lip filler, you look really good with a bit more lip filler. Oh, I love big lips. And I was like,
yeah. And I do see this a lot actually in clinic in particular. You'll either kind of get one or two. So you'll get the girl that kind of comes in, don't want boyfriend to know.
Don't put my picture online because I don't want him to say.
And it's all hush-hush. And they've got a few days before they're seeing the boyfriend, and it's like they've planned it very strategically so that they don't know, and they just get a small 0.5. Or you've got kind of the girls that will come in and say, oh, like my boyfriend said this about me and it's really made me feel insecure. Or he said that he didn't like my chin, so like they're there. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But do you like your chin?
Yeah. Are you doing this for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it's important to have those chats, especially with younger girls and younger clients, males, whoever's coming through the doors. Because
it is such a young... there's such young girls coming now for filler treatments. Yeah. And even like Botox and stuff.
I know.
It's getting younger and younger.
It's crazy. How do you feel about treating younger girls? Like, are you encouraging, or you just take a bit more time to chat with them?
So with filler and stuff like that, I think, natural enhancements are fine, if that's what they want. I understand there's pressures of social media and celebrities and stuff like that, and how much pressure these young girls feel. If it's going to make them feel better, and, then that's fine. Yeah. But, you've got to tell them the risks, and you've got to, explain to them, like, you're not going to just get your lips done. It's going to be perfect and you're going to feel amazing.
Yes.
Because sometimes they're just doing their lips to mask another problem.
Yes. And that's where I think your in-depth consultation comes in. And I think as well, some girls, particularly in my experience, they'll come in and they'll think, oh, I can just do one session and then that's it.
Yeah.
But once you've done a filler, you're committing to an ongoing treatment, because it's not like you can just have that one session. Obviously, it's HA, so it will go down and the lips will just go back to their original size.
Yeah. And people get addicted to it. And they really do get addicted, and they keep on wanting to come back. And if that is the case, then you've got to learn when to say no. Yeah. And I definitely will say no to people.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good.
As well with the young girls, if they're coming in for Botox or something and they've got absolutely no wrinkles, what's the point of even doing it?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And you can prevent, but there's a certain element of if they haven't even got anything, it's too early. And I think it's knowing that and having that integrity to say, you know what, you're not quite ready. Come back in a year, we'll have another look.
Yeah.
But we've certainly it's very funny actually, we have a list of banned of banned clients.
Do you?
So yeah, we have a ban list. So
why are they banned?
So this is clients that might be going a little bit too far,
Right.
or they're just coming back for more and more things, and maybe we've had some kind of red flags in consultations where we're like, okay, we're not sure that this person's doing it for the right reasons. So we do have a ban list. We do tell them that they're on the list. We're quite transparent and honest.
list.
Yeah, it's a naughty list. And it can get quite long.
Yeah, I can
and then if
imagine.
these clients are kind of coming in and booking, if I see that pop up on my phone, so and so's made an appointment.
Oh,
Say,
not
hello,
today.
no, you're still on the ban list.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll go, much longer am I on it? And I'm like, until I say that you're off it.
Yeah.
So obviously since Love Island, you've been blessed with a beautiful little girl, Aria.
Yeah.
She's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's very flamboyant, and I've seen her on Instagram
Yeah.
with a little makeup. She's great.
Loves makeup.
She's a proper little girl, isn't she?
yeah.
She takes after her mum.
Absolutely.
How would you feel if Aria grew up and was like, Mummy, she wouldn't be Mummy anymore, Mum, I know, sorry. Mum, I want to get some fillers done. How would you feel about that personally as a mum?
Obviously, it's not going to be nice for your precious little baby, is it, to be wanting to change themselves. Obviously, in a parent's eyes, their child is perfection, and they are literally the most beautiful person in the world. So that would not be nice to hear, but it's inevitable now, isn't it? There's so much pressure to these young girls, and I really do hope it changes before she's at that age where she's feeling like that. I do hope the pressure kind of dies down a bit, because I think it's quite a horrible world for these young girls.
It's very stressful for them.
But I would be a hypocrite if I was, saying you can't do it. When she gets to 18, that's absolutely her decision. But obviously, she's got a mum who does it, so I will be.
So
making sure.
she'd be in safe hands.
Yeah, I'll be making sure I looked after her. And the thing is, if I was to say no, what do young girls do? They rebel, and it's not exactly hard, is it, to walk around or go on Instagram and find a
and then it'll
clinician,
probably
is
end
it?
up being worse, because she'll go somewhere on the quiet, and she'll probably might not go to the right place, and then you've got a bigger issue.
So it's a really difficult one, isn't it? In my eyes, she's perfect, and she always will be, but I can't stop her from doing it. As long as she's doing it properly and she's doing it carefully and doing it for the right reasons, then I'll be there to support her. And I'm never gonna try and push her away, so I'm just going to listen and try and be understanding of why she'd ever want to change her beautiful face.
And she'll kind of know as well. I think she'll have a lot of exposure to it, because you do it and you have little bits and bobs done yourself. She'll kind of look up to you in a way and kind of want to be more like mum.
And it might put her off, seeing all these injections and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Is that your plan? Is that your secret plan, Chloe?
She might be like, oh, I don't want that. Maybe she might have a needle phobia or something, who knows.
So there's no secret plan to traumatise her before she wants to do anything with something.
I don't think, do you know what, even if they've got a needle phobia, they still come. So I don't think there is any
do. They sit there and they put themselves through it, because they're like, I'm going to get these fillers if it's the last thing I do.
There's clients that are on the bed like that, aren't they? Trying their hardest not to cry.
Really struggling.
Yeah.
I'm terrible when I get my lips done.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I am, honestly.
It's horrible. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm a nightmare. I'm very I can inject anyone else, but when it comes to myself, it's a no-go.
Yeah, but you do your own.
I do my own fillers.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that I worry about it for days, because I'm like, oh God, it's going to hurt. It's the pain.
Yeah.
And then trying to do everything in a mirror on a reflection.
Yeah.
Keeping everything flat and kind of, I look ridiculous.
I don't know how you do that, because that is hard work.
Yeah, it is. To be honest, I think I'm getting to the point now where I need to find somewhere else and just be like, you know what, I'm just going to let someone else do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's time.
It's about time, yeah.
So when you left the villa, I'm not sure what you were doing for work at the time, but can you just tell me a little bit about after the villa and kind of what branched you into aesthetics?
Yeah, so when I went to the villa, I was working in investment banking, which they wouldn't let me go back to, so I didn't have a job afterwards.
They didn't let you?
No, reputational risk apparently. Not sure really, but yeah.
A bit harsh, but okay.
Yeah, don't want any girls in bikinis in the bank today. So yeah, I always done beauty. I did beauty at college, and I always used to do it on the side. And when I come out of Love Island, you don't really need to work. You get a lot of money on Instagram and stuff like that. You still do now. So I always used to do beauty on the side anyway, and I love it. You know, I'm a really girly girl. I love makeup, skin, you know, and I enjoy getting aesthetics treatments. I mean, I don't enjoy getting them done, but I do.
You enjoy the benefit.
Them, yeah. So it's something that I've always liked to do, and I really kept on putting it off because I didn't want the stigma around a girl from Love Island doing aesthetics, because that is a thing. You know, people, I don't specifically promote my business on my social media page, personal page, because I do get abuse sometimes.
Do you?
Saying like, well, you've been on Love Island, why are you doing aesthetics? But why does it matter that I've been on Love Island?
It shouldn't matter, should it? And I think this is where it's wrong.
Yeah.
This is also what needs to change.
So I really did put it off, but it was just a way of me getting back into beauty, doing something I enjoy and benefiting people and, you know, really helping them. I'm somebody who's been botched before, and I want to make my clinic a safe space for young girls to come, older ladies to come. I want it to be inclusive, and I want people to be happy, and I want them to look natural, and I want it to be done in a professional way.
Yeah.
And I take my time doing my treatments. I, you know, really maximize all my training and stuff like that. I'm always learning, and I will continue to do that. But yeah, as I said, I did put it off, and I think it was great that I've got into it now. I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. That's such a nice story. And I think that people forget we're not doing this because we're horrible people.
No.
But it's almost like we're treated that way sometimes. And I think we're doing this to make other people feel better.
Yeah.
So why are you giving me so much grief about I want to do this because I'm into it, I'm interested, I've got history, you've got background.
Yeah.
So you've got everything that you could possibly need to be able to make choices, to be able to treat your clients and make them look amazing.
Yeah.
So why is everyone always got such a nasty, you know, kind of negative thing to say?
I know. And I do feel like with aesthetics as well, is, you know, training is extremely important, but some people just got a natural eye for what looks good and what doesn't. As you said, you know, before with the non-medics and medics thing, our medics used to be injecting to one kind of standard fits all, but I think you've definitely got to have an eye for beauty, haven't you?
And you can't always teach that. So
No.
I get a lot of students in my academy, and I will always know the ones that have the eye and the ones that don't, because I'll say, does that look even to you? Does that look okay? And some of them will be like, oh no, like I can instantly say on the left it needs a bit more. And some of them will look at you gone out.
Yeah.
And you're like, can you not see that?
Yeah.
You either have the eye or you don't.
You've got it or you haven't. And also, I think at the moment as well, people think that everybody doing aesthetics is doing it just for quick money. Let me tell you something, it is definitely not quick money.
No.
All my earnings go back on products
Reinvesting.
or training or my business, you know. I don't, you know, go around buying fancy bags and shoes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do it for that. You know, I'm doing it to help people and make them feel better and do it properly and make sure that young girls don't experience what I went through when I was younger, and the trolling that I received, and, you know, when they look back at pictures of themselves in 5 years ago, I don't want them to think, oh my gosh, look at the state of me, like I do.
Yeah.
You know,
so that's really nice, actually, Chloe. It's really nice that you've kind of took your own personal experience and journey, and you're putting this into a business that's so ethical. You think it's highly commendable what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that you do see girls that will just, you kind of know the ones that are in it for like the money, if you like, because they will be showing off on Instagram with bags, and everyone goes, oh my God, like look at the girls in aesthetics. They get like to go to Dubai, and they've got like the Van Cleef, and it's this and it's that. But you know, it's not always about that, and you have got to reinvest if you want your business to be successful. And I think girls that are kind of going out spending that profit that they're making, they're perhaps the ones that aren't reinvesting as much as they should be.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight, does it? You don't wake up one day and just think, oh my gosh, I'm amazing, my business is booming.
No,
it takes a very long time. It's like any other business. It takes such a long time, and it needs to be a passion. You certainly, some girls I've trained with, I only trained in aesthetics just over a year ago now, so not long. I've always done skin treatments like microneedling and stuff, but my aesthetic training was actually just over a year ago. So I'm still building my business. I'm still learning. But there's a lot of girls that was on my training course that have given up already just because they weren't earning any money.
Yeah. It's hard, and I get clients as well, students, not clients. I get students that will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to earn 6 figures in the first year."
Yeah.
And I've done another podcast on this actual subject, saying you will not probably earn 6 figures in the first year unless you've already got a very big client base. There are, it's not to say that it's impossible, but it is difficult, and I think that you have to really set that expectation. Because otherwise you just it's just not reality.
No, but a lot of academies, I don't know whether you've seen, I know you've got an academy, so you probably do keep up with what goes on, but a lot of academies now advertise, don't they?
Yeah.
You're going to make this much money in your first year.
Yeah, and it's wrong.
Well, where is that then? Because I haven't got that much money in my first year.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. And I think, again, there are flaws within the industry and there are things that need to change. And then I think this is what regulation will help with, just as an overall.
Yeah, because as well, with the regulations, it's going to mean probably a lot of people have to spend a bit more money now, on doing the higher level trainings and stuff. Me personally, I'm going to have to do that. Even if I don't have to, I'm going to do it anyway because I want to. I want to, make my knowledge the best it can be. But there's going to be people in the industry, and if they do have to spend a bit of extra money, aesthetics training, is it really expensive?
It's very expensive, especially getting up to your level 7.
Yeah, they're not going to want to do it. And that is going to knock some people down because they're not going to want to spend thousands of pounds,
But I think if they're not wanting to do that, personally, if you are doing this and this is your career, this is your job, this is your passion, why would you not want to do that? So I think if there are people out there that aren't wanting to do these qualifications, they aren't right for the industry anyway.
And also, if you're building a business, why do you not want to be the best of the best? You need all this knowledge to make you that. Therefore, spending a couple of £1,000s is a massive investment, and it's only going to pay off in the long run.
Exactly, and your client will notice that.
Absolutely,
because your knowledge will just go from here to here, and your client's going to be like, "Wow, like she knows what she's talking about."
Exactly,
her results are amazing. And her whole clinic is amazing. You have to provide the full service, especially with the competition.
You do, yeah. And as you say, the competition in aesthetics now is crazy, isn't it? But I think it's because it is so accessible now, isn't it?
It's very accessible.
And so it will be good when the regulations come in to kind of make it a little bit harder to get into.
Yes, which is needed.
Yeah, and I think clients will feel a bit more, not safer as such, but a bit more confident.
I think they will feel safer. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think they'll feel safer, and they won't feel because not everyone is great at doing the research.
No, and there is a lot of clients still now, they go, "Oh, I'm not going there because they're not a medic." When the new regulations come out and there is no non-medic and medic, it's just one level, and everyone's at that level, there is going to be none of that. Oh,
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm honestly so excited. And I do get people in here and they're like, "Oh, I'm so scared about regulation. And oh my God, I don't want it to happen." And I'm like, please see that this is a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. And there's going to be time for everyone to prepare and stuff. And as long as you're willing to, invest in yourself and boost your knowledge, then why are you worrying?
Exactly.
We're going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So what advice would you give to girls that may be wanting to go for like future Love Island series? What advice would you give them if you could kind of do that using this podcast?
So my advice would be just to be yourself. Like, nobody is you, and that is your superpower. I think so many people go on to Love Island for the wrong reasons, and they try at the beginning, the first few episodes, their persona is not them, and it soon becomes obvious that is an act, because you can't act up for cameras 24/7. Let me tell you, it's hard work. So just be yourself, be confident, don't compare yourself to other people, because you are beautiful as you are. And there is, when you come out of there, you've got to have some thick skin. But everyone will be fine.
So perhaps if you are someone that does struggle a little bit with confidence, or you can't really take criticism without taking it personal, would you perhaps say that it's not really the show for them? Or
if you're unable to take criticism, and you might be struggling with your mental health or anything like that, then please do not go on that show, because there is some really dark times after that. And as you can see from some people that have been on the show, that it doesn't always benefit, it can be a really negative
and there have been
world.
people that have left like midway through, and
Yeah.
they really aren't coping mentally.
No.
You have to make choices these days that put your mental health first.
Yeah. And there is a psychiatrist and stuff that you have to go through all these.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so before you go on, you do have to go through all these assessments. I think it's probably a lot more out there now, but when I went on, I did have to go through it, but there'll be probably more and more checks now because of obviously the negative impact that it has had on people's mental health. They do check out what's going on, how you're feeling and stuff. There's always someone to talk to, when you're in there.
Because they don't show this side.
No.
So they do that then. So they kind of take you aside and it's just someone to chat to, or...
More so now than when I was in there. I think when I was in there, it wasn't like a big thing. I think now with obviously Mike and Caroline and Sophie and stuff, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And that's really made them have to up their game in, welfare.
Absolutely, especially with the Caroline Flack. I mean, that was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing is, nobody knows their backstory. Mike's story, Sophie's story, Caroline's story. Nobody knew it, and they was getting judged so much on social media. And Caroline Flack was going through court cases, which obviously has then led her to take her own life. And it's awful. It really is. And it just goes. Sometimes it's scary because they just needed someone maybe to just talk to,
and that's all it would have taken.
Yeah. And it is so sad, and it is awful. And I think to the trolls out there, they don't realise the impact that it's having on people.
No, they don't. And they're often very sad themselves, and that's what's kind of bringing them to this position.
Yeah.
But I think it's our job and our responsibility as being in this industry to really try and stop this and move this from going forward. I've got a son, you have a daughter, this is what we need to stop for the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, I think now it's such a different world, isn't it? People these days, teenagers, are growing up wanting to be TikTokers.
Yeah.
Or they're wanting to be
It's all changed.
Love Islanders.
Yeah.
That's what they're aspiring
and there's so
to
many
be.
shows now on ITV, and everyone's just like, okay, I'm going to do this, and they think that that's the answer to success and everything.
Yeah, and I think people think it's a really easy way to get money. Like coming off of Love Island, there is so many opportunities out there, but it comes with risks and it comes with rewards. It's not all sunshines and rainbows coming off of Love Island. It is really hard work, and there's been times where I've suffered, and been in a dark place, but I've always had like support. I've got a really supportive family, and I've got a really supportive partner and stuff like that, and I think that's really helpful. But even now, for example, if something went on in the Daily Mail about anybody, what I guarantee you, every single comment on them Daily Mail articles are negative, and they're really abusive. So one thing I do say is do not read the Daily Mail comments, because
they can be quite nasty, right?
Awful. Like, they are the worst. They are literally the worst things ever. And
they don't help anything at all.
No.
They just want to sell a story, cash in, and they don't care who it affects.
Yeah, and let me tell you, reading them can put you into another world.
I can imagine.
It's awful. It's really awful. And I'm quite thick-skinned. I personally I never have, and I don't now really let anyone's opinion affect me.
You've kind of got tough to that.
Yeah, I always have been like that. I'm an ice cream. So I've always been quite strong-minded, and I don't really care what people say. I'm just like, whatever.
Not everyone's like that,
Not everyone is like that. And even me being like that, reading some of the comments on the Daily Mail, there is some that stick. Like, there is some that I've read, and to this day I will remember them word for word.
Sad,
that's
isn't
bad.
it?
Yeah.
If you could kind of go back and do anything different, would you have? Would you have gone in Love Island maybe, or?
Do you know what? I think I was in a really bad frame of mind when I went to Love Island. Obviously, I just found out my ex-boyfriend, who I was with for a couple of years, had been cheating on me. It wasn't with one girl, it was with numerous girls. I wasn't ready to find love. I was just in there for the wrong reasons. And it did show that I was in there for the wrong reasons. So maybe I should have really just taken some time to myself. But I just think it was just an opportunity that I just didn't want to turn down at
and
the
it's
time.
exciting, and you're going away, and you kind of think, oh my gosh, like I'm so trapped in this mindset of negativity, and you have this exciting opportunity that not everyone has.
Like, I'm going on a free holiday, I'm not going on my phone because they're taking it away. No one can contact me. This is great.
So it was perfect for you at that time.
But I do think, you know, maybe I should have taken some more time to myself, and maybe if it arose in a couple of years, I would have been in a better mind frame, and maybe then it would have been better. But as I say, everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? So there was a reason why it happened at that time, and it happened the way it did. So I'm really grateful for, you know, my time on the show, and I'm grateful for everyone that I met, you know, along the process. But that girl back in 2017 is not me anymore.
Wow.
And I think people do sometimes associate, oh, that girl from Love Island, but I'm not. I'm almost a 30-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Back then, I was a young.
And people kind of stick with what they've seen, right? Rather than kind of, oh, actually, no, she's got a daughter now, and a family, and actually everything's different.
I'm a 30-year-old woman. Well, I'm not actually 30 yet.
Don't be putting years on yourself, Chloe.
I'm almost 30. I've got a baby. You know, I've got a really stable relationship. I'm not a young girl who's living the life, partying 5 days a week.
So
doing all of that. Yeah, that's not me anymore. I'm a lot more mature, which obviously comes with time. I'm a lot more mature. I'm a lot more understanding. I'm a lot more open. You know, I'm just different, and that person is not me.
And maybe without that experience of Love Island, it wouldn't have brought you to this place that you are today. So I think we always have to take these experiences and take something positive and move forward with them.
Exactly. Like, who knows where I would have ended up if I hadn't been on Love Island. You know, and I can't imagine my life any different now.
Yeah.
And there's been some times where I thought, what on earth am I doing? But that's led me here. And I'm really grateful, and I'm really happy. So that's...
Wow, that's amazing. And I don't think you get anywhere in life unless you take risks.
No,
You've got to take risks. And if you don't, you always kind of sit in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
But the comfort zone doesn't come with progression.
Yeah.
The comfort zone just keeps you here, and it keeps you feeling nice.
Yeah.
But actually you don't progress.
And you end up getting bored. Well, some people might not, but for me personally.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
You just end up bored, don't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not all risks come with rewards. And I think, you know, you've got to take the bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just grow from it and move on.
Absolutely. I've really, really enjoyed speaking to you today. You've been an absolute breath of fresh air.
Oh, it's been so nice.
It's been amazing. And I think that even for me, like everything you've kind of said, a lot of this stuff is new for me. Like I'm so surprised with some of the information that you've given and just some of the stories that you've told. And I think you're a very inspiring person.
Oh,
and
thank
I think
you.
You're welcome. And I think a lot of, especially young people that are watching this, are really going to take a lot from kind of hearing your story. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. And I do hope that anyone that is struggling or anything like that knows that my DMs are always open. I'm happy to chat with anybody about anything.
That's really nice.
So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Chloe.
No, thank you.
So just to close the episode, we have obviously spoken about mental health in a fair bit of depth today. And I didn't want to kind of leave the episode open without offering you the opportunity to discuss mental health, to come to us. Obviously, Chloe's offered that advice as well. And we are just going to pop some links on the bottom of the screen for anyone that is struggling, and you can kind of access that help if you need it. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. We hope that you loved it, and we'll see you next time.